I saw you, I would lose control. Made me feel like there was no tomorrow. Should've told you that you're beautiful, but the days pass and now it's so long ago. Did you make it? Did you break free? Did you manage to be who you wanna be? Maybe somewhere you think about me too. I wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? Would you know my name? Would you know it ended? You feel the same. Wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? It's too late now, 'cause I'm growing old, but I need you to deal with my sorrow. Just a memory, just a broken frame, and I know that I have no one else to blame. Did you make it? Did you break free? Did you manage to be who you wanna be? Maybe somewhere you think about me too. I wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? Would you know my name?
Well, it is that time. It's been a busy day. I'm running a little hot, I think, into this. I've just about had enough time to set a few bits and bobs up, but time to sit down, stretch out a little bit after fairly stood up few hours. This, what am I going to do today? What am I doing today? You may be able to hear in the background. Let's have a look at the streaming camera. The 3D printer is running, just finishing the last 5 minutes of the second bevel filing jig. So that project is basically done. Bar all of the actual hard work of me manually filing tool steel into a kitchen knife. But that's done, so we won't be looking at that today. I am gonna continue with the Nerf gun stuff. I might have a bit more of a play with Sculpt. Yesterday when I played with it, it went kind of horribly wrong, and it would be nice to try and get a better feel for fixing those issues. So that's probably going to be my educational expansion piece. And then I'm going to start work on a completely new project as well, which is going to be an initial design for a vertical stand for my new metal cutting bandsaw. Would have been useful to have had that today. So I think that is going to consume some of my time. Hopefully you will join me to make some progress for an hour. Hang out, chat, ping into the chat room what you're doing, and if you join the Discord and share pictures, I will try and spot those and show them whilst we're going. So what have I worked on today? This is all way back. Basically just this. In fact, here you go. This is a very fast view of what I spent a lot of time today doing. So I'd sanded and prepped, and I did fit the handle to this door, yeah, just applying the walnut stain to make it match the room it's going in. My wife did walk in whilst I was doing this with a certain amount of like, oh, I see, applying stain in one of your good jumpers. Good choice, interesting. So that is, unfortunately, I just don't really think about it when I'm in the mode of getting on with stuff. It's just like, you know, stain needs to be applied, so you start applying it. I don't think about getting it changed. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is, let's see, where are we? This guy was where I was playing with Sculpt, so I'm going to have a quick, in fact, I'll just go straight into edit the second attempt at Sculpt that I had right here, which was completely screwed up. I want to see if I can fix some of this mess, but I suspect I may fix it by just starting again. I assume actually if I go, yeah, if I come back, then it's gonna. Let's see how far I can undo in Fusion. Will it come back into things? Oh yeah, it's remembered a lot of the. So I was trying to fix it yesterday by deleting panels that had gotten twisted. I think I might take us all the way back to when I set out the first side, and actually I'm going to undo us all the way to a flat. Oh, that's the sound of a 3D printer finishing. So I want to get to here. Right, there we are. So that is where I started, and at some point, confusion. At some point, when I allowed it to pull out to make the curve, these nodes got all messed up. So I want to see what happened there. Good evening, Paul and Mr. Ask Questions. In fact, Mr. Ask Questions, try it. Just reviewing control systems analysis. Well, that plays transforms, transfer functions, and the block diagrams. That sounds very complicated. Right, let me just pull this off the printer. So that's printed really well, actually. I think this is probably the best one yet. There's still a little, it's interesting, there's a little bit of curvature on this corner, and this is the same corner that every single print lifted slightly off the bed, and I wonder if it's something to do with the internal structure that makes it more likely that this corner would have that problem. It's the in fact, no, that's not true. Haha. Yeah, so it's the same corner geographically on the bed, but it's not the same corner of the model, because I think I printed this the other way around. But nonetheless, that's looking pretty good. We'll see whether or not I can file the stuff to the right thing. What temp do I have my bed set at? It is 210, I think, PLA. It's whatever the default Prusa PLA setting is, and I say it's not normally a problem in a lot of places. It doesn't show up in a lot of models, but this particular model has always had a little bit of lift in that one corner. Maybe that one corner is just slightly farther over for the heating. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, that being done, let's turn off the printer cam. We don't need to see that anymore. And let's, I'm just going to quickly, Philip has shared a picture of his pen holder. So let's have a look at this. The Collet pen holder. That is looking cool. And so this will accept different sizes of pen and hold them securely in place. I may have to try making one of these, because it would be kind of cool to have the plotter kind of aspect going on the machine sometimes, which I don't have. Anyway, that is good. Let's have a quick look at the point at which this all went horribly wrong yesterday. So we're going to repeat the pull command, and I'm going to see whether or not that completely screws everything up. So let's select all of these front line vertices, like so, and then we'll select our target, which is our front curve, except I can't see it. Why can't I see it? There we are. Fusion really doesn't like it when I'm running a lot of things. That's exciting. That went completely different to yesterday. Interesting. So that's surface points. What if I say control points? Control points is a little bit different. Maybe that is the right way to go, and then adjust it from there. So it looks like these vertices are all good, so I'm going to accept that. It's possible that it's just going to be faster to have done this all by hand anyway, but let's see. So if I grab you to there, grab you, I guess you're going to want to be, yeah, I'm going to need to put another vertex in there to get that right. I can bring him down a wee smidge and bring him in a wee smidge. Let's see how this looks. Oh my goodness. Ask questions, try it. Sound like that's a Sunday evening? That's crazy. That is that for a specific course that you're doing this, or for a particular outcome? It sounds like it would be quite demanding. Right, let's do that. That doesn't quite look right. So I'm going to add a insert an edge off of this guy. Other way, please. So let's do that. And then I'm going to move him. So the one thing I will say about this whole thing of editing a flat side, not going straight to making it three-dimensional whatnot, if your intention is to make a I guess a fairly symmetrical, I don't know, let's see. So this, I think this looks neater than I had yesterday when I tried this. Let me bring these guys in a little bit because that is a bit far out. Let's bring them. Render. Okay, that's about right. So now we will duplicate him. Move, copy, and up. I think I made it 5 mil. Now let's see whether my bridge command works better, because this was the first place yesterday that it started to indicate that things were not the way I wanted them, which is that the bridge command really, as soon as I selected a certain amount, it decided it didn't think they were all part of the same side. So let's do that. So far, so good. Come on, Fusion. Really does need to just think about itself sometimes. And let's take those. And then that one. And that one. Okay, so it let me select all the way around and it considers them to be one side. So that's a good start, definitely better than we had yesterday. Let's try the equivalent around here. And Philip, you are possibly right. I've never really pre-warmed the bed ahead of the print. I've always just hit go and let it warm itself up to whatever the print thinks it needs. That is an interesting idea for the larger items. Maybe I should pre-do it and give it a chance to settle everywhere. The weird thing is it doesn't peel away to begin. Like, I've watched it and it doesn't peel away straight away. It's almost like it gets a certain distance in before it starts to peel up. Okay, so that is more like what happened the first time. that worked quite well, although I seem to have gotten a rounded edge here, and I don't think I intended to get a rounded edge there. Why has that happened? I did have maintain creased edges, but that has come into a corner. Let me just... Oh, I don't want to redo it though. Let's see if I can just manually apply a crease to that line there. Crease. There we are. Oh, except... Oh yeah, there we are. That's what I wanted. That worked much better today. So you really do need to keep an eye on your vertices and these lines to make sure that things don't start going wacky on you. Because by the time you notice, it's all gone to hell. So I think what I did last time as I was playing with this was I did an edit form on the entire exterior line again. Loaded. Oh, goodness sake. So, and then I did a scaling operation to just cinch it in a little bit. We'll have that guy, and so I do think it would be nice, well, assuming I can get the blade made, I do kind of want to CNC the scales. I've always made them by hand before, but it would be interesting, I think, to, so yeah, if I do that, oh, except, what has that done? Now I want to go the other way, 0.9, there we are. So I think that's quite a nice way of getting an interesting profile on the old sculpt, and then I kind of lifted sections, and in fact, if I lift this line, back to school, career change, what kind of learning material for an intro to dynamic control systems. Cool. Let's see that. And for still a chat, I want to use an XLR style connectors, but I don't want to solder every pin. Is there a crimp connector that attaches like a spade onto solder cups? I don't know, but hopefully somebody else in the chat will know. Somebody else with more experience with such things. So yeah, that's kind of cool. I always feel like trying to imagine my hand around a handle to sort of figure out where I would want bulges and creases and such. Like, I think I probably want this line or some of this line to crimp in a bit more, because your kind of index finger kind of curls around that. So let's oh no, I don't want to do that. If I bring it in and over, oh, except I don't, now, that's where I don't want to do that, because I want that bottom profile to stay the same. So what if I select just those bits? Oh no. Selecting that, making sure you stay selected on the right stuff. I cannot imagine trying to do this without having a space mouse. Like, right. So I want to bring, there we are. Bring that in a wee smidge. Let's have it come in that way as well. Just to give it a bit more of a lean in. Huh. Wow. Okay. I'm happier with the way that's gone today. I think I understand what went wrong yesterday. That makes me happy. Right. Okay. That's enough of that. Now, new project or Nerf gun project next? I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the Nerf gun, and then we'll end on the new project, because the new project is probably not going to be very exciting. It's just going to be stuff. So one of the things I realized about this, I guess a little bit on the stream yesterday, and I guess increasingly as I've gone through this, is that I really should have started with these interesting components I'm keeping, rather than starting with laying out the core of the piece I'm going to change, because I think I messed up some of the measurements of this body. I also realized this morning that I had been assuming that this cylinder was, broadly speaking, lined up with the center of these holes. And that is not true. The distance between I'm selecting a sketch. Stop selecting the sketch. The distance between these circles and this center point is not the same as the distance between this center cutout here and this center cutout here. The other thing is that this cutout needs to be wide enough for this to move through, because it pushes forwards and presses this pad against the back side of this hole. And this is where the alignment is interesting. This pad covers completely this hole. So that is the alignment issue. So in fact, what I might quickly do is just turn off the gun body a sec and get these things aligned the way I think they probably need to be. Yeah, swing tube. Let's just move you. In fact, yeah, you and outer part. That's what I want. So let's just see how high does that need to go to be press fit around that. I think it needs to go roughly there in relation to that hole. That makes sense. Okay. And it slides back and forth, albeit inside that structure. But that has to be right, gun body. So I think part of the challenge was I was trying to measure what I thought the diameter of this cutout was based on half of the body. I think I just assumed that I was getting a clean measurement of that, and I clearly wasn't. Clearly wasn't. So this is the gun with the bits kind of back in place. This also means that what I do want to do is this. There's a little orange plunger bit here. This is the bit that sort of spring fits into the center of the barrel, and it has a fairly known, or I guess a somewhat easy to measure diameter, and it's right up against the bottom of this. So I think that's the next part of the model section I'm going to do. I think I might turn the gun body off for now, continue modeling these internal pieces, and then when I've got a bit more of those in place, we'll bring the body back and see whether it is better to adjust it to fit or start that again. Okay, so let's turn off the gun body and see what we can do. In fact, let's turn off the barrel as well. So we know there's a bit more I need to do with these brackets and whatnots, which are not really lined up, or they're not quite right on that side, but the lazy part of me is still trying to figure out whether I can get away with not modeling perfectly some of these things. So looking at this, there is like almost no real clearance between that back flange and the top of the barrel. It's not quite touching, but it must be less than maybe 0.2 mil, if that. Right, where is the calipers? what are we measuring? We're saying the back of this flanged out is 23.5 mil diameter, and it touches up against the main barrel. Actually, is that flat on the bottom of there? There is. There's a flat on the bottom. So whilst the main barrel is, that's interesting. In fact, it's such a close fit that now I look at it, there's a scalloped out bit from this wider diameter that takes it back to essentially this diameter, just long enough to provide access to that 23.5 mil circle. So I'm gonna sketch on plane with this, and we're gonna let's see. In fact, what I should do is, if I make this circle as a 2-point circle, I will make the first point literally on that edge, and we'll just come straight down, and we'll make it 23. Boom. Oh, except that was not the right edge. I should have put that edge internally. Let's undo that and try again. 2-point circle, and it is this interior edge. I'm trying to line it up on the green line, but I'm realizing that's not actually that's not necessarily the center axis at all. Let's do that. 23 straight down. Okay. Can I switch off all of the other sketches that I'm not working on right now? I don't really know why that's not a default. Right, so that is the widest part. It actually then, let's see, it is, can't quite get my calipers in that side. Oh, there we are. Just a shade under 4 mil wide. Let's say that is about 3.7. 3.7. So if I, now you've turned off the sketches completely. Oh, I turned it off. So if we extrude him out by 3.7, that's the thickness, but then there's a chamfer all the way around, and it is, I would say, pretty much 40. No, it's not 45 degrees at all. Now I look at it, that's definitely not the case. So let's do 2 distances. So we want it all the way to a sharp edge there, but the interior is only, what are we talking? 19. The outer diameter was 24, was it? I need to remember measurements better than I do. I think, let's do this. Get that to the edge. Bum, 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 ba-dum. Then you do classic. Dan just eyeballs the shape. Slightly less than that. Perfect. Just me squinting at the camera. Right. So that is pretty good, and as we can see, it definitely would eat into this, which is why there's a scalloped out section. In fact, I guess as part of creating this, it scalloped out my Why did that? When did that happen? Why do I bet that's when it happened. Yeah, I need to select that. There we are. Marvelous. And it really is. In fact, I wonder if I can take that section of sketch again. Let's turn that sketch back on and turn this body off. And we'll just take you back like that. It's not quite exactly how it's done on the body, but that's definitely what it looks like. So, what is the front of this thing? So we then flare into just what looks like a regular cylinder off the center of that. Oh, because of course this whole thing rotates. It's the ratchet that drives the barrel around for each shot. That is 14.3-ish. 14.3. So we'll sketch onto you. Center point 14.3. Pop. And it is probably about the same again, another 3 mil maybe, just under 2.7. And then there's this whole weird notch bit. I'm probably not actually going to try and model the notched out bit because it just seems like a lot of hard work. I'm gonna pretend it's a complete hexagon, and that hexagon is 12 mil. So let's do an inscribed polygon. Inscribed or circumscribed? I want circumscribed, I think. And 12. Not 12. I obviously read that completely wrong. Oh, unless, of course, it's asking me not for the diameter, it's asking me for the radius. 6. No, 6. There we are. And that is another 4 mil. 4. Okay. So, first obvious sense check is that in the model by default, it's way too blown out by the light of the camera. This surface is level with the front of this cylinder. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. Is it bad to reject your mother's phone call because you're live streaming? I'll call her back. That will definitely be a thing that I do. Right. So yeah, by default it's back there. And I guess that scarping goes back a bit more. What's important is that that does. Let's see. How do I? Ah, there we are. Okay, so one thing I've immediately noticed is that at rest, this flat surface is aligned up there. So let me just try and fix that. Come on. No, I wanna edit you. Come on, how do I thought there was a way to edit the feature once I've done it. No, I don't want to create a new sketch. I want to fix you. Or maybe what if I move you? Can I rotate you? No. Come on. Not you. Like the whole bloody thing. How do I get back to the point at which I specified that? What if I guess if I select all of them, maybe I can just rotate them then. Except I don't want to rotate it. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. So I was worried that because it showed this here, that when I rotated, it would rotate it around that axis. But it was clever enough to know that I'd selected all the things, so it rotated around its axis. That was unexpected, Fusion, but helpful. On balance, we'll call that a win. Stop sketch. Marvelous. So that, I think, is a fairly good approximation of those contact points. And then that cylinder goes back probably how much of the behind this stuff do you think I really need to bother modeling? On the one hand, it seems like a real pain to model all of this when I don't need to, but on the other hand, maybe I'm going to end up regretting that I have not done so. Decisions. Anyway, there's a cylinder that runs out the back of this for some distance. I don't know how much distance because it's embedded in another piece, but I'm going to guess, based on holding it up to the light, it looks like it comes back about 24 mil. It is itself a 10 mil diameter, so let's just drew that off the back of this. 10 mil diameter by 24 mil. No, 24 mil. Okay, and then that's inside another thing which has the whole ratcheting whatnot. Should probably figure out how to model that. It's quite an interesting piece. Quite interesting. How are we doing for time? Oh my goodness. 25 minutes. Right. I know I haven't made a huge amount of progress, but I do want to kick off my bandsaw stand. And this is super long term. So what I will just quickly check, in theory, when I turn the barrel back on, it will be, its center should be somewhat aligned with this thing, I think. That looks pretty close. Pretty close. So yeah, this jumps into the back of the barrel because there's a whole mechanism on the back that inserts into. That presses against there. Good. Starting to feel a little bit better about that layout. Okay, right. Let's start something else, and then we're running down into both G and T o'clock and time to get the chicken in the oven for dinner. I'm pretty hungry actually already, so looking forward to that. Right, so what am I doing? This is going to be, let's bring up the pictures. So I've got this fancy new bandsaw, and it comes with this mount to make it a chop saw, and you can hold it manually. What it doesn't let you do is mount it vertically, even though there is like this little slidey table thing that seems designed for you to use it that way. It's very strange. And basically everyone ends up making a vertical mount for it. So what I'm thinking of is probably using box section 25 mil tubing that I have to basically create two struts that run either side of the body, that have some kind of horseshoe shaped or just like square base that runs underneath this to be kind of take most of the mass. And what I've seen people have done is use the handle, and it's not very visible in this picture, but basically create a profile for the handle so that it just like hangs on the top. So that's sort of what I'm going to go for. What I'm going to go for initially. What I don't have is any useful measurements right now, but let's not let that get in the way. So I'm gonna sketch down here. My box section is 25 by 25. So let's just start with that. And for the sheer love of it, I'm also going to fillet the corners because why wouldn't you? We all know that box section is slightly filleted. It's more like a 2 mil radius. That sounds plausible. And it is hollow. I think mine is 3 mil box section, so let's create a 3 mil offset for that fella. Now, I feel like offset always wants to pick the side that I'm not interested in. Oh, that's interesting. Why didn't the fillet maintain on the interior? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay. So you, my friend, are gonna be what? Maybe yay high. Yay high. Let's call it 50. 50, is that gonna be way no 50, 500, idiot. Is that too much? Half a meter? Half a meter? What is the overall dimension of one of these things? Let me just quickly go and look at Aldi and see if it tells me what was the overall height of this thing. I should have measured it before I came up. This has been, let's see, saw blade, max cutting capacity. That doesn't help me. No, it doesn't tell me how big it is. Fine. I guess I can measure that later. It doesn't really matter for the purposes of the design. I just need something that runs from approximately here on the body to definitely below there. Let's leave it at half a meter. Let's do this. So we'll copy him. I think the body is about 15. 15 will be plenty. 150 mil. Let's do that. So imagine the body of the thing comes between these two. The handle flips over the top and hangs on something, and then there's some kind of feet arrangement. So for the sake of argument, I'm just going to create more copies of this same profile. Let's 180 him there, or not 180 him, 90 him even, and bring that back. Come on, select that face. So basically that will sit like that. Bum, bum, bum. That looks about right. And then we'll create another copy of him. And we'll stick him 90 there. Now the question will be, how much foot do I need to support the weight, or to give it enough like stability? I mean, I guess I can always just clamp the damn thing to a surface. Don't do faces, do bodies. So it really only copy. It really only needs to be enough to do that. Now what I do have a picture of is the handle. So, someone Justin from Good of the Land and Dale was, yeah, I've definitely seen a couple, and I say that I forget whose I saw. They actually made it a wooden one, but so I have a picture of the handle there, and I put a ruler next to it so I could have reference. But the guy I saw basically made like a wooden puck that sort of fit through that handle, and that meant that it was really easy for him to kind of drop it onto his stand and have a nice secure fit, but it was also really easy to get it off again. And that is definitely something that I would like. So what I want to do is have a quick go at modeling something like that. And then the whole thing will sit in there. So the measurements I'm going to definitely need to get from my saw is the width of the body, the exact height it needs to be at least over the ground. The other thing I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to make myself like a machine switch for it. So I have this idea, and this is maybe someone in the chat will be able to tell me if this is a crazy idea. Basically, I've got one of those red green button, like 240 volt whatnot switches. What I was going to do is wire it on one side to essentially a plug that plugs in, and on the other side to a socket, so that the theory is I'll plug the bandsaw into the socket, and I'll have when it's in the stand, I'll have something either that just straps around the switch on the machine, or maybe like locks around it from the mechanism to basically hold the main trigger down, so that I can then, in theory, control the whole thing on and off from the main switch. That's the plan. That's what I'm thinking. Right. I need... Doesn't need to be referenced to that at the moment. Let's just create a new sketch. And... yeah, it might as well be on that plane. We'll just do it over to one side. So, according to my reference picture, the internal dimension of that handle is something like, let's see, that looks like it runs from about, well, I mean, the external, well, let's do the external first, is straight up 14.5. So let's just do that. We'll pretend for the sake of argument that it is a 145 by what? Now, did I take a reference picture pointing the other way? Yes, I did. Good. 145 by, let's make it 90. So that's kind of the bounding exterior box of the outside. Then there's the front is essentially a tube, which looks like it's about 30 mil. So let's, within that, do a 30. So that's like the front handle. The side kind of squiggles in a bit. So it's a big curve in on one side and a slight curve in on the other side. I'm going to draw, well, let's see. It looks like they're about 15 mil. So the first thing I want to do is just create myself a reference point for 15 in from either side. P9, 15. So I think we are, if not an arc, then it might even be circular. Let's have a look. If I create a 3-point circle, is that going to be helpful? So if I say it basically starts from there and is that the curve? That's sort of the curve. I want this point to be 15 in from. So if that is 89, I know that that needs to be roughly 15 at that point. So if I come back to about 75, no, wrong way around. What? Oh, what I've realized is I don't even know what that measurement is coming from. Oh, because of course, depending where. Oh, fine, that's the diameter. That's not helpful. Forget that a second. I'm just going to quickly create an offset line. All metal frame and table clamp to the base vise that seem to be going for keeping it tabletop. Yeah, I think like an all metal frame is probably fine. No, I don't want to offset the whole thing. Let's just create a 15 and then do that. Assuming that we're on a roughly 15. Now let's do a 3-point circle where we have that. We are somewhere, I would say, like that and like that. And let's offset that. I mean, I could take that out to there. So ignoring everything that isn't, does that look like the right curve? Maybe not. Maybe not. Like what I'm thinking, for the sake of argument, if I extrude basically, it's a little bit like, oh no, don't. Oh, okay. That doesn't chop that off. So that is the piece of profile-ish, except that then curves in a bit more. Kind of curves away at the base. And then that side curves in. Let's do a bit of a spline on this side. From here, I think we come to sort of about there, and then we come in a bit, and then out a bit. That'll do. Offset that. Working on the basis that it is roughly 15. Is it thinking? Doesn't like it? Doesn't like me being at 15. Oh, because I come outside of the... Fine. Let's just make it 14 for the sake of argument right now. And I think I want to create another arc, maybe. Might be easier than working with wire geometry of the saw body. Sorry, I should read the first message. Could you make up a bracket that attaches to the existing mounting holes for the current? See, the problem with the existing mounting holes is that they are on the wrong end. They're on essentially the top. I mean, I suppose I could make up a bracket that still screws into the top, and I may do that as well. But there's something very attractive about the idea of being able to like easily take it in and out, and it's kind of a pain to sort of keep it aligned and screw, because it's not, I mean, it's not super heavy, but it's heavy enough that kind of, yeah, trying to align those three little holes and screw things in is a bit of a pain. And also, I don't know, it's interesting practice to try and figure out whether or not I can somewhat accurately model things in the real world. What do I want to do? Let's do a 3-point arc. I want to take you from there to, let's say, about there, and do that. And let's draw a line from there, which is 15 in. And then I want to connect that point. Come on, connect that point to somewhere there. That'll do. So let's have a look at what that looks like. Oh, you are not connected at the bottom. Let's connect you at the bottom. Bonk. And let's try that again. Yep, and you, that's fine. You, and we'll just bring it up by, oh, I think we decided that that front end was 30 mil. That's sort of proportionately. Let's see, what do we look like? Does that kind of look like that? See what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sure that it is an exact circle on that internal line, but that's about right. There is, I think, this is essentially a round. Oh, let's do that. And I think it's rounded on the top as well. Let's take it in a bit more. Now we're starting to look like the real deal, and it is kind of filleted along these ever so slightly. Let's just do that to those. Let's say that's like a 5 mil. Not that much. Maybe a 3 mil, 2 mil. Maybe a 2 mil. So yeah, I figure, yeah, hopefully this will be sufficient, as you say, for just like getting a vague idea. So what I could do potentially is print this out on the laser printer as a sketch design, cut out that interior profile and check it against the real thing, and tweak from there if anything really important. Like, it doesn't need to be super precise fit, it just needs to be close enough that if I create a puck based on this internal profile, it's going to be sort of snug enough. Okay, that is a good point, I think, to stop, because other than that, I probably am going to need to take some more pictures or measurements off the bandsaw itself to get this line, like unscrew the copy handles, get into the desktop copy machine. Another good option, I don't have a copy machine here. I suppose I could take one to work. That would be kind of a precise way to do it, I guess. A copy machine's good like that. I guess I've never really tried, but that would be an interesting concept. That would be an interesting concept. I might have to give that a go as an alternate thing to do. Anyway, where are we? I think we are at the end. Paul, I do have a photo. I suppose I could have tried importing the photo. Maybe I will do that next week, or yeah, because I guess we're out of time. Basically, we're out of time. It's Sunday. Dinner needs to go in. A week of work ahead. Not great, but I will try and bring the photo in and scale it and see how close I got off this. based on just like eyeballing it. Oh, it's been fun. It's been good. And that is time to say good evening. I hope you've all had some productive time whilst we've been hanging out, gotten on with things. I don't think I missed anything in the Discord other than that. I'm looking forward to seeing the Collet pen holder as a finished item. That would be pretty awesome. I say I may have to steal that idea, or in fact print it out when you share it with Thingiverse. That'd be cool. Right. Let's get a little bit of exit music going. This has been CAD like nobody's watching. I think I am back next week. We're getting into a pretty crazy time of year, obviously, but I think I should be free next week. So maybe you will join me. I still need to figure out how to contact more people, I guess, or like see if there are anybody else that would like to join. I don't really have a good idea about how to attract more people who want to sit and hang out on a Saturday and a Sunday, but we'll figure that out as we go along. For now, I will bid you adieu and go get food cooking. Good night.
Soon giving in this time, 'cause we're falling apart.